Good evening. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Collaborations with my co-host Al the Great. Hey Al.
Hey, hey, like Kimberly said, my name is Al the Great. I am your neighborhood counterculturalist, and I am very excited to be here and just talk about marriage some more.
Yes, this is part 3 of the culture versus marriage, and I am absolutely excited. I want to thank all of the guests who have been here before and are returning, and then our new guests who are coming for the first time. We want to welcome you. I'm just saying, okay, so Diane's been here, Elton's been here, Brentley's been here, and Miss Ursula over there has been here, right? So they know what's about to go down. They know. So everybody else, get ready because we have had a great time. Part 1, we had the husband speak. Part 2, we had the wives speak. And now part 3, we have these amazing couples. And so if we could go around and have each of you introduce yourselves. Let's start with the Rowlands up top.
Well, good evening. I'm James Rowland, Senior Pastor for Life Worship Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my beautiful wife, co-pastor Ursula Rowland.
Oh, I get to speak tonight. We're going to do this right tonight. We're going to behave. It's good to see everyone. And thank you for welcoming us, Al the Great and Lady Kimberly. We're looking forward to having an amazing time tonight. So we're ready to get started.
Absolutely. We are glad to have you. Welcome. And so now let's go to Diane, or Garrett and Diane Taylor.
Hi, Kim. This is Garrett, and this is Diane, my beautiful wife, better half. We're coming in from Greenville, North Carolina. We're both self-employed. I'm CEO of Uplift Comprehensive Services. Diane is co-owner of Tailor Made Publishing. We also manage a nonprofit here, The Power of You. It's funny, we're both in mental health, so I don't know how insightful our answers will be. I think after being in marriage, we're all a little crazy. So, but in a good way,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're excited to be here tonight, and we'll try to keep. You said PG, right? Like how PG do you need us to be?
Be yourself.
We changed it.
Be yourself. It's been good so far. So far, so good. Welcome.
You gotta be careful when you tell me that, though.
Yeah, I think Diane can kind of whisper in your ear about the temperature of the last time. Okay, so she'll give you a good feel. And then next we're gonna go on up to the center here with the Wrights.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Brentley. This is my wife, Kelly. Been married going on about 10 years now, solid 9, going on a 10. And we have I got a 14-year-old, 6-year-old. You know, we trying to do this thing right, man. That's it. Glad to be on tonight. You got something to say, baby?
I'm good.
All right.
Well, welcome to you both. We get to have Miss Kelly here this time. So exciting. I had them on another platform before, and it was so much fun, lots of surprises. Brentley always coming out of the woodwork with surprises anyway. So welcome to you, right, Kelly? So welcome to you both. Then next up, we have the Benjamins, all about the Benjamins.
Hello, everybody. We're going to try to keep this PG, I think. My name is Elton Benjamin. This is my wonderful wife, Shanika Benjamin. We have a daughter and a son, and we're trying to make a legacy for them, along with following Christ ourselves. Me and my wife are both entrepreneurs, and we push each other and help each other. What?
Yes, I'm Shanika, my husband, graphic designer. I sell real estate. We've been together for 14 years. We've been married, for 14 years. We've been together for about 21 years. So I love this man. Thanks, Kim.
Oh, it begins. The
They
love
get mushy. They
begins.
get mushy.
Welcome. That was cute. Oh, all right. And then last but not least, this is our new couple. So neither one of them have been on for the culture versus marriage. So I'm excited to have Anthony and Jennifer Artis. So welcome. I'm going to put you all in solo and you can introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Anthony Artis. This is my wife, Jennifer Folk Artis, and we are here to find out what the culture versus the marriage is all about. We are happy to be here and offer any guidance or accept any guidance that y'all are ready to give.
All right, Jennifer. She's like, that was enough. That was good. Okay, I paused to give you a chance to speak. So I'm going to turn it over to Al, the great, my co-host, to launch the show and share the vision, share a little bit about what tonight is going to be about, and get us started.
Can I tell you all that all of you guys look beautiful together? Look at all this black love. I love it.
Yes.
The
Round of applause.
Yeah. So y'all, the ones that are dressed alike, I need y'all to drop a message to my wife. My wife still won't dress like me, won't wear the same colors as me. You know, we've been married double digits, so I need y'all to give her a bug.
That was not planned.
That does not, dressing alike does not matter at all.
I'm trying to go back to the 90s. You can't take me back to the 90s.
What
Look, I'm trying to.
Keep it going. Let's go.
Oh, okay. So one of the reasons that we wanted to do this show, so we really feel like people skate around when we talk about marriage. You know, everybody likes the wedding. Everybody's planning for the wedding, and then after the wedding, just people stop talking about marriage. You know, so we really want to get into it, talk about the nitty-gritty of marriage, and we really feel like the culture is not for marriage right now. And there has been other aspects in the past generations where the culture has kind of put pressure on marriage, but definitely in this culture. So we really wanted to chop it up. We brought back all of this wisdom from all these couples, and we hope to enlighten some people today. We hope to talk about some things that were on some people's minds that they don't want to speak out in public about, and really tackle some issues. Because marriage is, what is it, like 45% of marriages end in divorce, and now you have it so that when people get to the double digits, it was something to make it to the double digits. You got to the double digits, you thought you was like home free. You didn't have to do nothing else. You crossed the finish line. But now you get to the double digits and people call them the deuces. They throwing up the deuces. So we want to talk about it all. And we're just glad to have you guys here. So the first question, we always like to start off the show with give us your best advice, best marriage tips. And we will start with the Rowlands. We want to start with the best first. So give us your best advice, best marriage tips for the people.
I always say that whatever you did to get each other, stay that way. And communication, the spice that you had when you first saw her or you first saw him, keep that alive. Figure out how to revamp that. And for all the men, since we are hunters, we are to discover our wives daily and monthly. You continue to explore her until you know every aspect about her.
That's good.
Look, that's right down my alley. You got to keep hunting. Never stop hunting.
Absolutely.
The pursuit is always on.
Yes. All right, the Benjamins, what do you have for us? Best tips, marriage advice. What do you got?
I would say to stay boyfriend and girlfriend. Always communicate and allow each other to be human, and allow each other to grow as humans. Because like you said, when you get in the double digits, you think you're home free, but in different parts of life, she will change and you will change. And it's important to understand that marriage is business. Marriage is hard. And if you can communicate and understand each other, then you can keep going. But and you're gonna have to fight against society, you're gonna have to fight against family, you're gonna have to fight against your boys, your girls. Because most people looking in at your marriage are looking at sound bites and snapshots, and then they want to make a whole evaluation of. So you just have to keep those people out and keep God first and keep your spouse first.
I love it. I love it.
I know he just said
marriage is good when you go from playing with them plastic knives to them real knives. Right. What do you have for me?
Hey, we would say number one, spiritual. Keep that thing the way that God had designed it and intended for it. It needs to look just like the gospel, Christ being married to us, which means we got to be sacrificial. And I would say physically, just to the place where run your own race, man. Your marriage is your marriage. You can't compare to anybody else's. You have to be, stop being so doggone selfish, man. Don't choose yourself, but choose each other. So for us, it's a choice. Every day we want to honor the way God brought us together. We want to honor that in Him, and then we just want to choose each other, and do the real work that it takes to stay married. So, which is hard work, but that's what we got. You got something there?
That's it.
That's it.
I like it. I like it. You got to pay attention to your own grass. All right, Artis.
I want to touch on what Benjamin Elton said earlier. The Benjamin said earlier when they said continue dating. That's something that my wife and I push all the time. We do date nights. We do date events. We do date Walmarts. We do date shopping. So we continue to reevaluate ourselves all the time. I guess one of the main focuses for us is staying consistent, talking through things, sharing thoughts and emotions, communication.
And I would say with that communication, realizing that communication is important. It always is. But with communication, know that it's a two-way thing. Somebody's got to talk and somebody's got to listen. So
I like it. Anthony, I don't know how you keeping up with planning the date nights, and you married to Miss Date Night by Design over there, so I don't know how you keeping up.
I'm pretty strong on it, man. That's what keeps her mind flowing. We maintain each other. So with her business doing date nights, I have to be way in front of the curve of trying to.
He's held at a high standard.
Very high.
I like it. All right, the Taylors.
All right.
Well,
first of all, before I say anything, my wife brought to my attention that I didn't even mention that next month is our 16th year anniversary. So we've been in this band for a while. So.
Happy anniversary!
So if I want to make it 16, I better give her a proper shout out, right? So I think that as far as the advice, first of all, I'm in mental health, so the first thing I would say is we got to do our own work. Understand that we're all coming, especially in the Black community, we're coming from trauma response communities, we're coming from broken homes, we're coming from a community that's not really marriage friendly. 30% of all Black families are actually intact and married. And so we have to do our work, and we have to understand that going into the marriage, that each individual needs to do our work. Communication is paramount. And the last thing I would say before I give it to my wife is the only constant in marriage is change. So be prepared for change and be prepared to learn your partner each and every day, because she will change, he will change, and you have to get to know the new person every day.
And I would just like to add that love and forgiveness are action words. Those are verbs, meaning you have to fall in love over and over again, i.e. kind of piggybacking on some of the other couples in terms of continuing to date. And then the other part is that anytime you are in relation with any other person, there's going to be times of offense, but the key is forgiveness. And so forgiveness is essential, because they are going to offend you. You are going to offend them. But the The real fact is in how we deal with it after the fact. So to me, it's just important that we all remember that love and forgiveness are verbs, and it's something that we should constantly work towards.
Amen. I love it. I love
So
it.
good. So good. Oh my gosh. Great advice. Great advice from everyone. What were you gonna say, Al?
I'm just saying that y'all ready because this first question is hard hitting for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to also add. This is way off subject, but G Todd, I love that hat. So just want to shout that out while we were still on them. I need that. I need that hat. But
Yes, I do love it.
yes, you mentioned Jennifer about date nights, Jennifer and Anthony, and we were talking about how they have the company date night by design, and how that's really significant in your marriage. And I really love how you mentioned that you do date nights in the store. Like you just go to the store and that's a date night. So I just wanted to shout that out because I think people do try to think of elaborate things to blow somebody's mind away, but just going to the store and getting some time together.
Home Depot was a date. Home Depot was our date. What was it? A couple of weeks ago. It was like, we're going to Home Depot. We need to pick up some stuff.
Well, I can share one that's even better than that, where she gave me praise maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. What is it? Parade of Homes. You know, this was a weekend where, you know, I didn't have anything going on. I wanted to relax and chill. She knew I wanted to relax and chill. I just went and got my vehicle cleaned up. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna just ride out a little bit. And I remember her saying, "Oh, Parade of Homes coming up this weekend." So I said, "Let's go out and grab something to eat." And so while we were out to eat, I'm like, you know what? Let's do a date. But she's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Well, I want to do what you want to do. I want to do Parade of Homes today." And she was like, "What?" We got out, did Parade of Homes. I enjoyed it, of course. She really enjoyed it. And then later on, I could just feel the mood of her, like, "Oh, babe, thanks. I really enjoyed that. That was, you know, real good." So that was a date for us. That, like you said, it didn't have to be, you know, elaborate. Like you said, it's just spending time, enjoying each other, communicating, showing affection. You know,
enjoying your spouse's interest. It may not be something you would like to do, but you know, I think when you take interest in something that they like, that makes them feel good.
Yeah. I saw you point at your husband, Ursula. Is that something that was familiar or?
Well, we do it all the time. We call it dating on the budget. Sometimes you have to do it on the budget. Like, you don't have to take me to Paris to get me to do some new tricks.
Right.
Just PG. But at the end of the day, I'm just as satisfied when you have taken out the time. You put a blanket. My husband has done some creative things. We're working on chapter 29. We've been working at this for quite some time now. And we're halfway empty nesters. We have 4 daughters and we have 2 grandchildren. Yes, we're quite aged around here. But doing it on a dime, that is something that has probably contributed to the success of our marriage more than anything.
Oh, wow.
Now, we travel. We travel internationally. So traveling is something that we get to do. But when we're very intentional about setting aside what we call some sanctified time. And normally we use that time for strong fellowship. That's the time we have crucial conversations. We try not to have those conversations in the heat of the moment.
Right.
So that way it can be a two-way and a reasoning opportunity for us. So finding those date moments on the dime, they are priceless. And I promise you, every woman would love to come home and there's a blanket spread out in the living room, furniture moved, and just some candle lights. And if you don't cook, go somewhere and buy some food. Bring some food home.
We call it figure it out.
Yeah, that's sexy. That's that new sexy. We're talking about that new sexy on the women's line. That's that new sexy. When you prepare the way for our entry home. Oh yes, it's
love it. Love it. So those who are in the comments, if you have those who are listening, our listening audience, if you have some questions throughout this broadcast, please put them in the comments. Feel free to express. we want to communicate with you as well. So Al, I'm turning it back over to you.
I just love when Ursula comes on and she just always gives us some new quotes. I just love that. All right, so looking at this first question. So our culture puts a lot of major emphasis on physical attraction. And one of the things I really loved about seeing like other cultures, you know, especially like in the Indian culture, like when people do arranged marriages and why some of those work, because it's not really, you know, it's not based on physical attraction. And so the question is, can someone be married to someone that they are no longer physically attracted to? And if so, what is some advice that you can give them about just kind of tackling that issue? Because it is this idea in our culture, you get married and it's like Elsa, you just let it go. So let's go to the Taylors first.
I was just going to say that I spent a lot of time in India. So in India, in fact, when we got engaged, I was in India for a month. And so they were so excited and they kept asking me if this is a marriage of love. And I didn't understand what they meant. And what they were saying was, is this your choice or was this an arranged marriage? And so I spent a lot of time explaining to them that ours was a marriage of choice, which they refer to as a marriage of love. The reason that they were saying that arranged marriages work is not necessarily because of attraction or the lack thereof, but because they have family support in regards to it. So in other words, when I go home and say, Mama, that joker did XYZ, Mama is going to send me back home. Whereas in the United States, if I go to my mama, who is a single mama and raised me not to need no man, she gonna say, girl, you know, you can always come back here. And so there more than the sexual attraction or not, there is a family dynamic that supports their marriages that are arranged that we don't necessarily have culturally here, which is why here, one of the number one advice is don't tell nobody your business. Why? Because they're more likely to tell you to do this on your own versus supporting you or encouraging you to work it out versus other cultures. Now, in terms of sexual attraction, I think it's essential, me personally.
Yeah, I was about to say all that you're talking about, like a great baby, but at the end of the day, you know, honestly, I think you have to be attractive, and I think it's the duty of both husband and wife to maintain, you know, to keep yourself in a place to be attractive and be pleasing to your spouse. But so at the end of the day, I think we kind of have this laissez-faire, lazy. I think to me personally, I think it's kind of a lazy cop-out we have. Well, you know, we got married now, so we should no longer have that. No, I think that when we come into a marriage, we come into a situation, and I can tell you, my comment I always say is like a lot. I feel like women can come into a marriage, they say they're gonna change us, and we pray that y'all don't change. Like if we see you walking down the aisle, that's what we want. This is the woman that we want. We vetted every other woman. We said, this is what we want, and we want you to be just like this. Now, of course, it's not realistic. We know things are going to change. But at the end of the day, we have to do the work to be pleasing to our spouse. And I think you know, as much as we would like to say that this, and I think the problem with that mentality is that we get into this Disney fantasy about marriage that, oh, we're going to get married one day and then everything's going to be happily ever after. And this person will no longer care how I look. I can put on, you know, my bummy sweatpants every day with holy underwear, and she no longer has to care. I get a big old pot belly, and accept me as I am. And I think that's unrealistic. And you know, we're two people with four eyes. And at the end of the day, you know, if you're not going to be working hard to be what your spouse needs, then you know, nature will move in another direction. So I say we work hard to be pleasing to our spouse.
Mm-hmm. In addition to that, there's also a point of grace where you should show your spouse. Certainly, you should communicate that you're not happy with the way they're looking right now, and as a shared partnership, you should certainly work towards, maintaining that particular image that they are attractive to. But also, for some people, I don't think that they realize and they continue to be realistic. Sometimes there are factors that, will change a person's physique. And you have to work, say, even though I'm not completely attracted to the way you are now, you are still who I married. And regardless of the circumstances, I should put my feelings aside and try to do things to still be attracted to you, finding other things that make you look appealing to me, even though you've blown up 4, 5, 10 sizes. But
I haven't.
My spouse, and there are other things about you that I still love and I appreciate about you. And you can't help if someone gets sick and then they change their weight. That should not change your love and affection for them. So I guess kind of on the other spectrum of that, wherein you should still make your marriage work. If it's just a physical appearance that has changed, there should be other things that keep you together.
And one thing I may add is like, men, they know what they want when they see it. They see beyond, women be like, oh, he trying to holler at me. I ain't got no makeup on, ain't got da-da-da. Men feel that sense of spirit of how you carry, what you do, your movements, your mannerisms. They care about their stuff. And that's things that we fall in love with beyond of what you think we looking at. You can take all the makeup off, walk around, how you want to. And we love that because we love your inner person. Now, that don't negate you need to take care of yourself, but at the same time, love goes a little bit deeper than flesh when you're in it for real, I think.
Grace. That's the word I took from that.
I think men are more visual than women. Do you guys think that it is harder for men to get past the physical more than women?
I want to chime in, and I want to say, I always take it like this. Imagine or think about, the person that you are with, and say that person loses a limb, a leg or an arm. I wanted to make sure that, you choose the person that you feel like going to be with you if you lost a limb or a leg or arm. So, that's the guiding part for me. I don't look at, people, they'll say something about the weight or they'll say something about, how to dress. Those are, official things. I want to look at something that's, can really, really impact. And I feel like, the person I'm with, if I lose an arm or a leg, I'm hoping she's gonna be right there. No, I know she's gonna be right there. You know what I mean? So
I got you, boo. I got you. Oh,
right. So I look at it in a deep and I really just said this a couple of days ago. I literally said, we were having conversations and I was like, the type of person that I wanted, the type of person I chose, I knew that we're gonna be there forever, no matter what happened to me. So it's I feel like, and you have to keep up yourself. Yeah, you want to keep up.
Yeah, because the keeping up yourself, I think that it's to what Garrett said, it's important. It's not everything, but it's important because it's that you can look and be like, okay, I see you. And that's motivation from both sides. So it's like, and for me, it's like, I believe in being holistically healthy in the sense of I want to be mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, and physically healthy. And I think when you got the right partner to do that with, and you have chosen, I'm not going to say it, there's no such thing as perfect. My thing is you choose the person that gets your crazy.
Yeah.
President Gisher.
I want to shout out the Wilkinses. Is that how you say it? Who are here? Zachary and Jasmine Wilkins, who have been married 11 years. We want to shout out these couples that come on as they come on. Congratulations on 11 years. Her husband, Jasmine's husband, said, "If I lose a leg, Dad's gonna stay with me. God chose a great woman for me."
That's right.
Let's move on to the next question, because one of the things that I think we were talking about in the when we sent the questions out was the role of like being a girlfriend, boyfriend in your marriage. And somebody mentioned that. I think Elton mentioned that already, how significant that is. And so when when somebody's your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you're going out on dates, you putting on the heels. your waist trainer. I mean, you are getting your hair cut, your beard, maybe you even getting that blackout, to cover the grays, all of that stuff. And then a lot of times when people get married, they do kind of like, maybe you go to one hair appointment every 6 months. So I think it is important, but back to what Shanika was saying, you don't leave and run just because somebody, has an issue. We do have to, try to stick it out. So Al, what's our next one? Let's dive into.
So while we're talking about this, I think one of the biggest reasons why people get divorced. Well, I think one of the biggest reasons when people think about divorce is, and we're talking about physical anyway, is when you get married and people start having issues, I guess, with coming together for sex. And I know it's this whole idea, when you look at these movies and stuff, you see people, they dating and it's all hot and steamy, and then when you get in and get married, it's like non-existent. It's like I Love Lucy, they sleeping in separate beds almost. It feels like it. So if you have a couple and they're having that issue, it's kind of part of the physical, but it's deeper than that. How do they tackle that issue? They having that issue of intimacy, getting together, being able to have sex, just intimacy in general. What are some ways they can maybe tackle that issue?
Let's start with the Wrights.
I think it starts with pre-marriage. Like for us, we did premarital counseling the entire time we were engaged. So with that, you have to discuss what that looks like when you do get married. So I think if you have that issue when you get married, you have to communicate what your needs are, what your desires are from your spouse. If you can't communicate with your spouse, then that person doesn't know. So if he doesn't communicate his needs to me and I don't communicate my needs to you, there's a lack of communication. But I think a lot of people have taken the union out of marriage, out of the equation from the very beginning. Everybody likes to have the fantasy, the big wedding with the 200-300 guests, but nobody puts in the work before they get married. So it's important to have those conversations before marriage so that when you go into marriage, you already done talked about it. I already know what he wants. He already know what I want. So now we just got to put the work in. So.
Yeah, I would say that your marriage is the most important earthly relationship you have. So, when you talk about intimacy, you're talking about a level of connectivity. So that looks different per marriage. And again, run your lane, run your marriage, how God designed it. But it's for connection. It's for the two becoming one. So we need to realize we're still, no matter what, kids, work, all of it have to become one, constantly choosing one another. So if you're having a problem with that in your marriage, what you do, you just, like my wife said, you got to get out in front of it, man. If you can't talk to the one person you marry and you're open financially and you're living in the same house and sleeping in the same bed and you're doing all these other things together, but you can't physically have a conversation, whether it hurts or not, something definitely is wrong. And you probably want to, seek professional help, but go back to what is God's design for the marriage and what is God's design for sex in the marriage and why he made it that. So once you start getting that back on the table, you'll be all right. Hang on
there. James and Ursula, Pastor James and Ursula, you want to tackle that?
Absolutely. I think the Wrights were dead on. They were dead on. I think it's found in like John 8:32. It talks about you shall know the truth, and it's the truth that shall make you free. That knowing the truth is a tough part of the equation. Being able to talk, what do you like? What do you not like? And it does change. You may have liked flowers when you first got engaged. Flowers don't do it for you any longer. He might have liked missionaries, at the beginning. Now he won't look, look something different, but you don't know that until you have those conversations. And I think that is one of the biggest things that hinder people in their relationships is having that level of transparency, being able to create that space where you can talk truth. And even though it's hard, take the emotion out of that conversation so that you can have this by communications to effectively come to a resolution. And if we allow fear and allow the lack of presentation on how those conversations come out, it can hinder something very beautiful that's waiting for you.
I like the way Brother Brentley said that, of course, bring God back into it is that knowing how God designed it and knowing that the man is responsible for the relationship. What I mean by that is if the men recognize that something is wrong, start early. Don't wait until it's too late. Start early, laying the foundation or coming back, hey, sweetie, what's going on? Or do small things, because intimacy starts early in the morning or the day before. It doesn't start 10 minutes before. And so intimacy starts way before. And then, of course, like Paul says in Ephesians, of course, when he says, men love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So stop looking at your own self and look from where she's looking from, because there may be something that is in there that you can't see because you're only looking at it from your point of view. You have to be able to see from where she sees, understand where she's coming from, and vice versa. And then slowly but surely, if the intimacy has been gone, getting yourself right first, and then making sure that you're whole, and then giving yourself back to your spouse.
Yeah.
Love it. I think one of the other, and you guys are free to answer this other question too, the previous one. One of the other things that I've also seen, is with marriages, everybody's busy. People are working sometimes multiple jobs, people are entrepreneurs, everything else. And when it gets time to, do the business, gets time to be intimate, people just like tired. You're like, I don't have the energy. Like, what are some tips, I guess, that you can give some of these couples? I think it was the Rowlands. I think one of the things you said, I think one show, was that foreplay started in the morning, as soon as you woke up.
Absolutely.
And that really kind of stuck with me. Like, what are some other tips that you can kind of give other couples, other marriage couples, about how to still get that intimacy in, but you are, everybody's busy. Some people do scheduling, but I know also sometimes that's frowned upon. It seems like it's boring. Like, you got to schedule sex. Like, but how do you get it in?
Be spontaneous.
Spontaneity is the whole thing. Show up at her job, do things that you normally would not do, to make her think this guy has lost his mind. He's crazy, but I'm like it. Bring that excitement back. I think I heard Kevin Hart say, and get on the hood. I'm gonna drive 100 miles per hour. Do something that, not maybe that, but do something that is spontaneous, that will bring that spark back, man, and stop being square, right, and planning for things. I'm the one that will come home and Ursula's washing dishes, and I walk behind and pow, smack the hind pots, and come on here, girl, I need to talk to you. Daddy need to talk to you. Close the door, and the kids. You say, but the kids are in the living room. I don't care. They need to learn somehow at some point. Come on in here, Daddy need to talk to you.
That's right.
Perform some tricks.
They had to learn how they got here at some point.
That's right. We're gonna perform some tricks today.
I love it.
I love it.
A couple of people said no filter. they love y'all. No filter. I want to hear from the Taylors. Go ahead, come off mute. But one of the things that some comments that's good, stop being square. Someone else, scheduling sex is far from boring. It gives you both something to look forward to and plan accordingly. So the Taylors, jump on in there.
I mean, first of all, I think we got to put it in the right perspective. I think we keep people want to downplay the importance of sex in a marriage, and they, I say we're getting these Disney fantasies where we like, oh, well, love should endure all things. I mean, we put a lot of pressure on just love. Y'all better get it in. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's going down. Because at the end of the day, that's a connection. It's more. Sex is a lot more than just a physical act. It is a spiritual connection. It is a bonding part. And again, it's good. So you want to make sure you do that because and so for us, what has always been a good way to kind of put a little life back into is that we schedule every 3 months. Now, we don't schedule the actual sex because it's going down, but whenever, wherever, however, it's going to happen. But we will schedule like the extra, the breathe that life into ongoing. So we'll go on vacation. Sometimes it's a big one. Like next month we're going to Cancun, and sometimes it's like we might just get a room and just act the fool in the room, And so it just depends on. But I think it's important that you make that a priority and not make it an option. I think people make time for what's important. But when we have a habit of getting this again, this belief that it's love should endure. We don't have to get it in. No, sex. You start early. You understand the importance of it early, and so do you remain connected.
And I think it's not necessarily sex, but intimacy, because depending on the relationship, the physical.
We're gonna get in.
I mean, we do.
Okay.
We got to think about the audience.
Right.
Some people may not be able to have sex. However, I think the idea more than anything is the intimacy. It's the foot rubs, it's the back rubs, the shoulder rubs for him are very important. So for me, I think it's really important that we not shy away from the fact that we enjoy sex all the time, but it's more the intimacy part that's important. So I don't care if it makes you warm, so walk 3 miles a day, that's what whatever it is, that's what you all need to do in order to reconnect. So we can't shy away from that. It's important.
And that goes back into what we said earlier about, we all know that things can happen. There can be medical issues, there can be health issues, things can go down that might create a barrier. But even in those situations, they make toys, they make apparatuses, there's other ways to be pleasing to your spouse than just so if there's another situation going on, then you work around that, but you still prioritize that physical intimacy.
And directly to your question, which was in terms of advice, then I would say, like my sister Ursula said in our last session, start in the morning, with a sexy beam, a sexy message about the night before, send him a lunchtime. So it can be as easy as a text. It can be a phone call. It could be literally a note on a Post-it on his dashboard. That's a surprise to him when he gets in his car on his way to work. So there are lots of little things that don't cost money, don't take a lot of time, but lets the other person know that you're thinking about them. And that in itself is sexy.
Yeah. That made me think about a question, because men and women roll a little different, right? So appreciation. You were talking about, Diane, you're just talking about gestures, right? And so a lot of men you hear who are having issues in relationships or afraid of a relationship or whatever it is, say because women don't appreciate them. So I would like to ask the gentleman, and then I want to start with the Benjamins, to ask, what does appreciation look like for you, Elton? And what does appreciation look like for you, Shanika? And we're going to ask maybe one more couple that same question.
Okay. All right, here we go. So appreciation, let's understand this. That a woman can have anybody she wants at any time, whether it's for, she has a choice. She can have anybody she wants for, either if it's for a night or it's for a long time, for the rest of her life. They can choose that, right? So if they've chosen you, act like you've been chosen. Okay? Act like you've been chosen. And the thing that shows appreciation to me is her noticing the small things that I do. Because any other man can step in and say, I'm a man, I can be with her or she can be with him. But it's the small things that I do that she realizes that shows me that appreciation. I ain't the tallest man in the world. I ain't got that much hair. But you ain't going to beat me doing the small things. If she leave me, she gonna be like, dang, I missed them things. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's the small things that she realizes that are not big things, but she realized, oh, he really had to pay attention to detail. He really had to search deeper in his heart and his mind to make this move than just regular old doing it because I think he wanted to do it.
Now, is she verbalizing it? Is she saying to you, "Oh, thank you for whatever that small thing is"? Is that how
she'll verbalize
it?
She'll verbalize it or she'll gesture it.
Got
and
it.
I can feel when it's a gesture, I can feel the warmth of the gesture.
Good. Now, Shanika, to you.
The appreciation for me is, and I guess it's kind of on the same lines, those little things. Like he knows my love language is service. And so when he does those little things, it lets me know that he appreciates me. Like when he, we have we got a almost 13-year-old and a 3-year-old. So when he does those little things, when he knows that 3-year-old is attached to me and he takes him, give your mother a break. That's like, oh, he appreciates the fact that I'm raising his children and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. He's giving me that relief. And so, that's the way that he shows me the appreciation. When he tells me, don't cook today, babe. Let's just go get something to eat. Let's go out. Da 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 da. Those breaks and moments that he gives me lets me know that he appreciates and he sees all the things that I do.
That's good. All right. Well, Anthony and Jennifer, you want to answer that?
I'll let you vibe off it.
Yeah. Agreed. For me, he is great with the little things. He is great. That I had an example of that this morning, which I can publicly apologize now that I kind of got let work get in my way and did not recognize this morning. He made me coffee and he spelled out "I love you" and everything. And I get a text and I was like, "Did you see?" And I was like, "Ooh." I got busy with work and I didn't respond, but
I didn't need I wasn't looking for the value of the gesture that I did. I designed it with the coffee, with the coffee bag, some batteries and stuff. So I didn't know if she saw it or not because it was laid in a position where you had to actually looking at it to catch it. So I took a picture of it just to say, just in case she missed it. But right. We both have lanes of capture all the time.
And I would say also, like Shanika, I'm very much acts of service when it comes to my love language. And something I have discovered with that, just because that's my language doesn't mean that's his language. So I think it's important that you know how to interpret your partner's language. You have to. It's just like translating an actual, if you're speaking to a French person or a Spanish person, you gotta know the language to understand what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And so with me, he knows that mine is acts of service, and I know that his is, I think one physical touch and affirmations, and those are his things. So sometimes I get so caught up in mine. It's like, oh, this is how I love you because I'm going to make sure you have the deodorant that you like, or you're gonna have certain things because that's me putting my language on him, not realizing he likes that, but that ain't necessarily his language.
And I think people need to capture that. People need to pay attention. Just because it's your love language doesn't mean the other person receives that to be that what they actually receive from it. So
right.
I think that's the cross up with people sometimes. Oh, my love language is this, so let me do this for them, and they receive this, but they may need, like she said, they may need touch, or they may need affirmation of something completely different.
Yeah.
And that comes back to one of the number one things I feel like communication. Talk to the person, find out what's going on, what they need. And
that's good.
Yeah.
I want to go to Brentley, because last show with the husbands, he said something about expectations, and this slides right home base into that. Brentley, you gotta tell us, you and Kelly, you gotta tell us what you said about expectations and how that has made your home a happy home, and to where Kelly is still in shock. All right, so if you can share that, because this slides right into that.
Yeah, I think so I come from a broken home. My parents divorced. So for me, going into a marriage, I could not have healthy expectations of what a marriage was, even when you go into counseling. So if I were to have expectations, to me, they just were not healthy. So I have 3 guiding principles, or if you want to name it, the expectations I have for my wife, based on my experience as a child coming up. Number 1, I need you to be a daughter to God. Number 2, I need you to be a godly wife. And number 3, I need you to be a godly mother. If you're a daughter to God, His Spirit is driving you, will help you, will give you the wisdom and insight you need. He will take care of you. I don't have to. If you're a godly wife, the same, and a godly mother, the same. And I live by those same expectations myself. Other than that, I don't burden my wife with any other expectation. If you want to cook Pop-Tarts for dinner, I will eat them hot Pop-Tarts tonight.
And he is so telling the truth.
I'm telling the truth. I'm not faking the phone. This is me. I have no other I don't expect my clothes to be washed. I don't expect you to iron them. I don't expect the house to look a certain way. If there's dishes in the sink, hey, if I can get them, I'm gonna get them. Because to me, one of the ways you appreciate your spouse is when you don't burden them. That individual is so hard already. You're human. We're already dealing with trauma, and we're dealing with so much in our day just as a human and who we are. So to place any other expectation of burden on someone like that, to me, I believe is wrong. But that has been one of the things that has been a foundational pillar in our marriage, and keeps us rooted and connected, and it puts the onus back on God. Because I can say, God, your daughter around there tripping now, okay? I need you to go ahead and handle that for me now. You see what I'm saying? And it's not because husband says so. I feel like I'm just this guy. Like, who am I?
I'll be transparent. Like, I wasn't cool with that at first, because I felt like, wait a minute, you don't expect me to cook? Like, that's not normal. My mama cooked every day. Like, wait a minute, what you mean you can just have Pop-Tarts? So it took me a while to really understand what he was saying. And when he said that and I got it, I was like, oh, like, that's cool. I can be me. I don't have that burden. If I'm tired and I don't want to cook, I know that my husband is not going to be like, oh, you ain't cooked tonight? What's up with that? He going to be like, cool. That's what's up.
I slide out, get something to eat. It's just that simple, man. But the appreciation goes both ways. You don't want to burden your spouse, right? And then what you don't want to be also is a trigger to their trauma. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to burden them. You appreciate them that way, but then you cannot be a trigger to their trauma or their past. So that's number 2 for me, being a husband. How I show appreciation. I don't burden, and I don't become a trigger.
That's good.
I love that. I feel like a lot of times, our ideas of marriage are based on, what we've seen on TV. A lot of different things, especially for men. Some of the ideas of relationships is what you've seen in the porno or something. And that you expecting that from your wife, like, so it can be extremely extremely toxic. So I really love that. I really love what the artist said too, is about knowing love languages. I feel like a lot of times, you expect for someone to, you're wondering why someone is not happy about what you're doing. Why are they not appreciative about me buying them these gifts? And they don't want gifts. So I really love that.
Zachary said, my wife doesn't cook because I love cooking and doing laundry. My mom and grandma taught me to take care of my wife. And that was one of the questions too that, we had kind of put out there about gender roles. Are they helpful or harmful, in a marriage, having an expectation of the wife to cook, the husband to always take out the trash, wash the car, different things like that. That was one of the things that we wanted to talk about. Where Alicia said hurting your spouse, or she was repeating what Brentley said. Did anybody want to respond to that? I know we're wrapping
I do.
up.
I do.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked about gender roles. I've seen posts here and there where women ask, what about the gender roles and this and that, but there are some responsibilities attached to gender roles. Men and women aren't equal because they can't supply equal pursuits and expectations. I think that we're trying to make everything seem right so it can fit on TV, it can fit on the right show, and so it can be good, clean across the board. But the other day I heard a woman going back and forth with her husband about taking out the trash, and I was like, how is that a conversation? How is that a conversation? How does a woman get to a point where she needs to nag you about taking out the trash? There's a deeper problem there if she has to do that to you. If a woman has to say something to you about going to crank up, warm up her car in the cold, do certain things, pump gas, all these different stuff, there's a role, and the man is responsible for those roles. Not to say a woman can't do that, but where's the honor? I think we society has tried to take our honor that we need to show each other.
Yeah.
There's nothing more sexy than a dainty, feminine woman. Nothing that smells nice. Nothing is better than that. Nothing. And sometimes we have women now that's 25, 30, 35 say, okay, I want this man having six figures, this and that. Well, if you really study it, a man doesn't get those six figures until he's about 40 or 45 to be able to have built something to prove himself to get those figures. So you're stabbing in the dark, walking in the dark, looking for something that don't exist. And a man that's really about his business, sex is secondary, your emotions are secondary. And if he's an alpha male, you're going to lockstep with what he says, because he don't have to listen to you. You don't have to listen to nothing what your mama said. You don't have to listen to what your cousin said, because he knows where he's going. And at 40, 45, he's going to be that six-figure guy. Mm-hmm. But society has jerked the honor out of, okay, let me go. If I want to be with him, let me do this. Let me do that. And on the other flip end, brother, if you ain't got nothing for her to work with, for her to see something that you're doing, what do you expect? You can expect when you see her with different, or get mad when you see her with a different race when he's trying to do something. So I think the whole, it's a marketing scheme, and I work in marketing every single day, and there's money behind keeping us apart, and there's a money making even more about telling us how to stay together. So I think it's an honor thing. We have to first honor ourselves, but honor the person that you're trying to go after, I think.
I want to add to that, because you hit on a lot of great points. And to me, the keywords right now going on. Patriarchy is one. It's like they want to make everything, oh, that's just a terrible thing. I mean, be honest with you, if anything, the Black community needs more of that. We need more male leadership. We need more of us to step up. We need healthy patriarchy. We need a healthy leadership, but we absolutely don't have enough when 70% of all Black households don't have a man in the house and acting as a leader. So I was on a show a little while ago, and you're such a chauvinist. I'm not a chauvinist because I appreciate the feminine in woman. I think in this current culture, what we have done is devalue the power of femininity, and all of this that is going on. That we have this culture right now that wants to say women, you can do everything a man can do, and the reality that's a lie. And we say men, because I'm not even going to sit here and tell you that lie. My wife is far more nurturing than me. She thinks about stuff I would never think about. My job is to provide. I'm here to make sure that everything runs in this house. If my wife can help when she needs to, when she wants to, and if my wife needs to take time off, my job is to make sure she has that time to do the other things. So it's not going to be the same. And I think when we talk about equality, we need to focus. That's a terrible word. I think we need to focus on equity and making sure both sides. And to me, the first rule, anytime we talk about anything as far as who's doing what in a marriage or who and what's going on, I always focus on the plank in my eye before the speck in hers. Because when I look around, if I'm looking around, I'm like, wow, my wife didn't clean up. And I look around, I'm saying, wait a minute, dude, those your shoes, that's your book bag, that's your briefcase over there, that's your stuff. Right. So when you want to talk about the house, did you look around the house and make sure that you cleaned up your own crap in the house? And the same with my wife. I'm like, baby, you worried about me? The toilet seat go both ways. Just like it go up, it can go down. Like you. But I'm just saying, like I hear couples arguing about toilet seats. I'm like, well, it takes just a little time to
put it down.
The argument about it took 2 hours, but you could have just argument over. So sometimes we go into these situations and we're doing this comparison and this back and forth and all this conflict, and we have a culture right now of conflict. And at the end of the day, we need to be focusing on dealing with our own stuff, focusing on, did I give my best today? Did I do everything for my partner that is supposed to be done today? And if you answer those questions first, that half the time when we're worried about whether she did what she's supposed to do, or I did what I was supposed to do, if you ask yourself, did I do everything I was supposed to do as a husband, first and foremost, then you can worry about whether your wife did X or Y. But half the time the answer to that question is no. And on both sides. And so my thing is there's no 50-50, it's 100-100. I will cook when I need to. Well, if I'm not, I know how to order. Uber Eats is my friend. I will make sure the house eats. Now, I might not cook. And if your expectation of me is to cook, I can cook. I probably won't. But I will order to mess out some stuff. That's just how I do, right? And the other thing my wife says all the time is I think that a lot of our women need to step back and understand that we're not going to do things the way you want us to do it. If a lot of the issues that go back and forth is, we talk little stuff, folding the towels. I'm not going to fold the towels the way my wife wants to fold the towels. And if you don't like the way I fold the towels, fold them yourself. Now, if you want me to help, I'm going to roll them up like I roll them up and put them up. If you don't want my help, just say that. Because I'm not going to do everything the way you want me to do it, because I'm not you.
And I think we do ourselves, Black women, we do ourselves a disservice by not asking for help when we need it, and then we trip when we don't get help, right? So we want to put on the superwoman cape, and we want to be all things to all people, including our spouses, our mamas and daddies, and our children, and we cannot, and we should not try. And so we don't know how to ask for help. The second part of that is we want to control the help, right? So we can't control or should not want to control the help. So if in fact I'm tired, then I should be able to say to my spouse, I'm tired, can you put the kids to bed? Now he's not going to do that the same way that I do that. And that should be okay. But the fact that we have to get through, it takes about 5 years to figure out that we can even ask for help. Right. And then once we ask for help, now we're mad at how he helped. What in the world? We have to get to the point where we are okay with asking for help, and then accept the help that we're given from the person that is closest to us on this planet.
Okay.
So good.
And just in that also, sometimes we need to recognize the abilities of our spouse, and then offer the assistance where we know that they lack. I was reading a book, and it was a guy. He was complaining about his wife. You know, she doesn't clean, she doesn't clean, she doesn't clean, she doesn't clean like she should. Da 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 da. But at the end of the day, that just wasn't in her nature to clean the way he wanted it clean. So what he did was he went and just hired some help to be able to clean the way he wanted things clean. And I'm like, don't continue to beat your spouse up on something that they can't achieve. Get them the help that they need, or get the help outside to make it to your liking. And that's another thing, like with weight issues, they overweight, help them lose the weight, instead of just complaining about it. You take on the responsibility to help and to aid to get what you need for your household.
Yeah, and help, when she said help, like before me and my wife got married, we was dating. I was racking in, business was booming, da da da. And I used to carry around watts of money in my pocket like this, and that wasn't because I was trying to show off or show out. That was because I used to see a member of my family run a shop house and look at house, and he ran business, and so that's what I saw, and that's how I thought you need to take total around money, right? It was when I got with my wife, she said, no, put this here, put this there. You don't need to carry this around, carry that around. As simple as that may seem, and some people say, oh, that was dumb. If you've been conditioned a certain way, and you got somebody that comes into your life that makes you think differently, from the way you handle money, from the way you think, to step back and do this. There's been a lot of times where I've been doing stuff, and my wife would say, step back, baby, what about this way? What about that way? And my whole atmosphere opened up. And that's why we're not equal, because the same way that you guys can nurture, the same a mother's love to a child is nurturing, taking care, make sure this child got this. A father love to a child is direction and correction. And that's how they love each other. They will never, ever be equal. Never, ever be equal. And so it behooves people to keep different ones out of each other's life if it's right. But
right,
we have so much. I mean, when I'm listening to y'all couples and it's like heads open up. I think the Rowland couple, I love them. I'm a day in my life, but I love them. We can go out and eat. And I see Jennifer, and I've done stuff from Jennifer through Kimberly, and I see she's been holding on her husband arm the whole while, and it's those small things, right? It's the small things, Yeah. Man, Taylor got on that cat daddy hat. Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
Everybody need to get. We need to get together and have a in person. But one of the things as we wrap up the night, as we close out the night, I know that people have responsibilities and things like that, and we promised you a specific time window. As we close out the night, just one last question. And we want to thank you for your time. We want to thank you for coming back, those of you who came back a couple times. And then also shout out to our sponsor and a brand designer extraordinaire, Elton Benjamin of Industry Image, who does our graphics. He did the flyer as well as the overlay that we have here. We always like to shout him out, as well as the other shows, Love and Flow TV, that just aired this past Saturday. Go check that out. And then also my show, The Ultimate Fan Podcast, which will return after this series because I can't burn myself out with all of this stuff. So last question around separation and divorce. Did you talk about your position on either prior to marriage, and what have you learned in your marriage that you can share that might help a couple that are separated, contemplating separation, and or deciding to divorce? And if you could do that in 45 seconds or less, we'll start with the Rowlands.
Absolutely.
when I met Ursula, I told her that I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. I wasn't looking for someone to date. I was looking for a wife, and I was going to do this once. Absolutely, you're challenged with especially when you're young in your relationships, about because you come from different backgrounds, seeing things different, and before you come into maturity, even though we went through counseling, you still see different ways. And so, yes, it has come up, but we, again, like Brantley said, you remember your vows. And I know that I'm responsible for this relationship. So it was out the window, but that there is no other alternative. There is no other option. This is it.
That's good. Did you have anything to add, Ursula, or are you good with that?
That was sexy. I'm gonna work with that later.
Yes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Inspiration. Okay, let's go to the rights.
I'll make it easy. Unbreakable. We talk about it. It's not gonna happen. We in it for the long haul. I'm in it. This mine. I'm his. Unbreakable. That's our motto. We say it all the time. Unbreakable. Hey, that's it.
Bam.
That part.
Bam. Nice. All right. Go to the artists.
Till the wheels fall off.
Nice. Simple. Till the wheels fall off. All right. Now to the Benjamins.
We came in with divorce is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do everything and talk about it, go to counseling, whatever. I keyed it first, but divorce is not an option.
Y'all thought she was sweet, did you?
Yeah, we know it's some. We know behind those sweet folks.
Yes, Lord.
What lies? And the Taylors.
Listen, I love all the responses, but I'll be honest with you, boy. We done drew up separation papers and said we
Printed them out.
Printed them out. We did all that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, it defaulted to that part that it was not an option. I told her we got in one argument, and I said, "Listen, I'm gonna go over here," and she's like, "Well, you got to go." I said, "I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna go over here, and you go over there." And at the end of the day, either we're gonna get it together, we're gonna be happy, or we're gonna be two mad folks walking around here. But I ain't going. It's up to you where we go, because I ain't leaving.
In the same house.
This is our house, my house. I ain't going
in the same house.
And in the same bed.
In the same bed. I ain't going no other bed. So you want to couch going, but I ain't going nowhere. I was watching TV shows with the husband's on the couch. I said, man, you can go on the couch all you want to. I'm gonna go right in my bed. Now, if you want to, if you want to go over there, go on. But I think and I share that because
that's
we're
real.
gonna go through some stuff. Couples, this is tough. Marriage isn't for the faint of heart, and you're gonna have your moments where you want to throw in the towel. But at the end of the day, I would much rather go through it with her than without her. I think that we are stronger together. I think that we've built a powerful relationship, a powerful marriage. And again, we've changed. The things that I enjoy today, the things that we do today that we never thought we would do. We never thought that we would have even had certain conversations, never gone certain places, never done certain things. You're going to change. You're going to have struggle. You're going to have strife. And I think the biggest thing that I would say on all of that, and the biggest salvation that you got to have is compromise. And in this marriage, you got to understand that you are going into two will become one, and you can't have two becoming one when both of y'all want to be what you used to be. You got to become new, and you got to continue to become new. You got to reinvent yourself every day, and so in that avenue of becoming one with my wife, it took a lot of compromise. It took a lot of compromise from her, and again, I think that we're here, and we're 16 years and running. We ain't going nowhere now. I'm getting old. I ain't starting over, so it is.
He's leaving me with these kids. I'm doggone.
Look, that's what you said.
You leaving me with these kids.
Love it. All right. Well,
I will say this though, Kim.
Yes.
I think that we need to be realistic in the fact that there are certain times and circumstances where two people may have not been made for each other. And I don't want us to bypass the fact that if there's physical abuse, mental abuse, there are certain circumstances that I do think that individuals need to be open and honest about the fact that if they are equally yoked. Outside of that, marriage is hard, but it's worth it.
Yes. Love it. Well, thank you again to everyone. We appreciate you so much. I'm going to lend the mic over to my co-host to close us out. Al?
Thank you. Y'all, this was amazing. I love it. I love all the wisdom that came out of this. And marriage is hard. Like people spend. We do so much planning and we spend so much money on the wedding, and we don't want to put any money and effort toward the actual marriage. So I love all the information that you guys gave. Can we go around and you real quickly tell people how to get in touch with you, how to follow you? We can start in the corner with Artis.
Yes, you can check us out at Date Night by Design on Instagram or Facebook.
Make sure you guys follow. We're going to tag and we're going to be looking for you guys on this follow here from the Culture versus Marriage. So we can always, we might be a part of one of y'all come ups for a revitalization of a date night.
Yeah, and Date Night by Design has an event coming up, a couples jazz brunch in December. So you guys, make sure to follow that page. So if you want to come out,
absolutely.
COVID restrictions and all of that stuff will be in place. All right, next.
All right, the Taylors.
Well, personally, I'm on all social media platforms, G Todd Taylor. I'm pretty easy to find. Everything is just G Todd Taylor. We have IG and T-Made Publishing, and on Facebook. We also have Bantu Books with our publishing company. I feel like we're a serial entrepreneur, so there's a number of businesses that we're always working on. Our nonprofit is The Power of You, and that's where we're doing a lot of our work now. www.thepowerofyou.org. And so, yeah, that's where all of our donations are giving and coming. And our mental health company is www.upliftcomprehensive.org or upliftnc.org. Either one works. Use upliftnc.org, and
we're easy to find.
We're easy to find, yeah.
All right, the Benjamins. The Benjamins.
I'm on everything. Elton Benjamin, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I do graphic design, branding. I take people that's doing stuff local and make them look national so they can compete and get national money, national funding. And hey, logos, flyers, websites, just let me know. Reach out to me. I'll send you some of my work. My wife is the best realtor ever. All this thing y'all heard about, price bidding, she's closed on so many houses within 30 days, and people didn't have to do price bidding. So,
wow, that's good.
And we can find her at Shanika Benjamin.
Mm-hmm. Shanika Benjamin on Facebook. I also have at SB Realtor on Facebook and Instagram. Always 919-522-2309. Call the text.
And lastly, the Rowlands. The Rowlands and then the Wrights.
You can find us at mylifewc.org. mylifewc.org.
Got it. The Wrights.
You can find us on our social networks: Facebook, IG, Brentley Wright, Kelly Wright. That's your IG, right? Or KB Wright?
It's Kel_B Wright.
Kel_B Wright. And then everything else about me, you find at BrentleyWright.com. BrentleyWright.com. Like Bentley, but with an R. BrentleyWright.com.
I love it. You guys also feel free to reach out to Mr. Elton Benjamin to change his handle to the Graphics Goat. Send them some emails, DMs, do whatever you can.
All
But
right.
I really appreciate you all coming out.
It was great meeting you all.
Really focused on changing this culture, and somebody has to count on the culture, and definitely when it comes to marriage, we got to make sure to count on the culture.
Absolutely. You all have an amazing evening. Please join us. Follow Coffee and Collaboration so that you can get to know for the next collaboration event, whatever it is, whether it's this or something else. I truly believe that if we work together, we can go so much further than alone. So you all have a great evening. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. Night.
Thank you guys for the platform.